What would you call it if they only came to Easter?
Probably like
Eastians?
Like a fraud? I'm just
Welcome to Daddy God Podcast, episode 3 today. I'm Sawyer, Adelyn, John Allen. Glad you're here with us. Remember, we're having fun, laughing at ourselves, trying not to get canceled, probably. We are at a good bit of shout-outs so far. You already know this because I asked you to look it up. You have any guess on how many shout-outs we've done so far in 2 episodes?
20? 30.
Do you know? You edit them. Do you know?
46 right now.
46 shout-outs. 46 shout-outs. Shout-out to the shout-out meter. 47. 47 shout-outs today. Excited to hang out with you guys. Addie, John and I were talking about this earlier. Have you seen that guy that's been going around Corona, dressing up like a clown and hiding from losers? Have you seen that guy?
No.
You have not seen him?
No.
We've seen him. You've seen him. We've seen him.
A clown?
Yeah. Yeah, you haven't seen him?
No, you're lying.
Oh, the clown.
Yeah, the clown. He's been hiding from all the losers in Corona. You haven't seen him?
I see him every
You
day.
see him every day.
Every morning.
I've seen him. You haven't seen him?
What is the point of this?
You haven't seen him?
Stop.
I think.
I get your point you're trying to make. So dumb.
You haven't seen him? Okay. Urian, you seen him?
He lives in Urian's house.
Urian sees him every day, every morning, every afternoon. He sees him. I'm just kidding. But look for him. Look for him. We're praying for you, Addie. How was Easter? How was Easter for you guys?
Great.
Exhausting.
Yep.
And beautiful.
Because you worshipped. We all worshipped.
Yeah.
Praise Daddy God. But you led worship for our church.
Yeah.
Thousands of people.
Crazy.
Mega church.
It's so cool though how many people came. It's awesome.
It was.
All the creasters came out.
They
Creasters,
did. They
Christmas
did.
Easter. Shout out to all our creasters out there. Shout out to the people who were creasters but are now not creasters. That's the real thing. If you don't know what a creaster is, do you want to explain what a creaster is, Addie?
I learned this term a couple years ago. It's a person that only comes to church on Christmas and Easter. And I just think the term creaster is just so good.
Yeah. Yeah. But every year there's some people that started out as a creaster. Now they're Christian. They come to church, which doesn't make you a Christian. Let's get into some theology. It doesn't make you a Christian, but you actually love the Lord now. What would you call it if they only came to Easter? Creasters are Christmas and Easter, but if you only come to Easter, is it
Probably like
Eastians?
Like a fraud?
A fraud.
A phony?
They only come for the picture with the bunny.
Dude, you gotta know what I call him.
It's just to feel good. Like, I went to church today.
Yeah.
I checked that off my list.
Which we're glad you're here. But
But
come
also
back.
a fraud.
Well, how do y'all feel about the non-Christian traditions that are tied to Christian holidays, i.e. the bunny or Easter eggs? Is that a no-go in the John Allen household?
No, I'm hiding the eggs.
Hiding the eggs.
I'm putting the bunny costume on.
Mm-hmm. I was actually the bunny this year. Every year I usually am, and this year I got to be the bunny.
I really hope there's no kids watching.
I think they knew.
They
know.
They know.
Okay.
They know.
Let's tell them.
But you're pro bunny. You're pro Easter bunny.
Yeah, I feel like I just lean more on a chill side. I watched this video, and it was on Instagram, and it's this guy saying like, "Do you know where the bunny came from?" And it was like this like pagan.
Where did he say?
Pagan god, and it was all like evil. And I'm just like,
He watched VeggieTales.
Yeah.
Because there's a bunny, the VeggieTales episode of Nebuchadnezzar and Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego. Do you remember that episode? And
the idol they bow
that he
down
puts
to.
up is a giant chocolate bunny, and it's the best episode because he sings the bunny, ooh, I love the bunny. Look it up. It's great. And this guy was anti-bunny because of that.
Anti-bunny, yeah. And I feel like I'm not anti-bunny. Are you anti-bunny?
I'm pro-bunny.
Pro-bunny.
I'm pro-bunny. I was the bunny. I hid the eggs. We did an Easter egg hunt for my little sister-in-law, and I was hiding those eggs. I'm also a big believer, though, in you got to earn it. If there's money in the eggs, I'm not just throwing them in a grass field. Don't teach that. We're not communists, okay? It's not a free handout. It's a challenge. It's a hunt, right? The Easter bunny, if he or she was real, wouldn't just plop them in the grass, right? Hide them. So I'm a big fan of, my shout out Peyton DeWitt, and Olive DeWitt. Olive DeWitt was there as well. But it was more for Peyton is like, she's like 10. She's like 8. I think she's 8 or 9. I don't know your age. I'm sorry, Peyton. But so she's like this tall, but I'm still hiding them. I'm like way up. So I'm a big fan. I'm a supporter bunny of Easter egg hunts, but of make it challenging, What about the Reckley household? Soon to be Beltran household. That's what I really care about is what you and Damien will do.
I feel like I'm going to go with the same chillness that John's talking about. Like, it's not supposed to be this crazy legalistic pagan, let's go back to the origin. Like, it's fun. Don't get the wrong idea and make it all about that, but have
Christmas,
fun with it, Same thing, yeah.
Christmas tree, Santa.
Yeah.
Bring him down the chimney.
Come on.
I will bake cookies for him. Carrots.
100%.
I remember my mom, again, kids turn this off, but I used to bake.
Spoiler alert.
Spoiler alert.
For your childhood.
You're going to cry. But I used to bake cookies for Santa.
And that's the goal of Daddy God podcast.
Yeah, we hope you cry.
Is to make you cry. Yeah.
But I would bake cookies for Santa. I get pumped. And then I remember I would lay out carrots and
for the reindeer.
For Rudolph. And I really believed he came into my house. And I remember my parents would nibble off the carrots. And I'd be like, no way, there was a reindeer in our home last night. And I would look for the fur. I'm like, where did he sit? Where did he take a nap?
Yes.
And then I read Santa's letter. And it was my mom's handwriting.
Oh, no.
Big foul on Lisa.
Come on.
Should have hired someone.
Because she's got recognizable handwriting.
Yeah, I'm like, this is the grocery list handwriting. My Cheez-Its are written in this handwriting.
Hey, Mom, why does Santa say to get milk?
Yeah. Get milk, get eggs. Also, good job this year.
Yeah.
I'm not seeing it.
What, do you think you would have recognized Tom's handwriting?
Yeah, 100%.
So what's... You think it had to be typed, or like go knock on the neighbor's door and ask him to write it, kind of a thing?
Neighbor, type it out. I don't know.
We didn't get letters from Santa. Did you do the cookies and all that stuff too?
Me and my brother didn't believe in Santa
at all,
because I think we just figured it out at a young age, and my mom was like, if they don't care, I don't care.
What about Braden?
He does, and he watches this podcast. So.
Oh gosh.
Not anymore.
Sorry, Braven. Yeah, sorry. Shout out Braven if we haven't already shouted him out, but maybe you give your mom a heads up about this one to not let him watch it.
He's 10. He's almost age now, right?
Yeah. We loved that stuff. We didn't do letters, but we did cookies. We did the carrots and the celery. I do like seeing the TikToks now of all these dads going way over the top to make it look like Santa's real. Like I saw one dad doing he would get his boots on and he stepped in powdered sugar. And then he walked from the chimney to make it look like snow.
That's so sweet. Have you seen all the ring camera stuff too?
All
because
the
the kids know hey, wait, we have a ring camera, and the parent will dress up.
I've seen stuff like that with the elf. That's a different conversation.
They walk by to make it look like Santa was there, and it's so in depth.
That's funny.
Committed.
I love
for
that.
Sure.
If I had editing skills like you're Ryan, you got to do this one day when you have kids. Make a video and really CGI that.
I'm down for that.
Make it, but. The elf I've seen where they'll do security camera footage and you'll see the elf crawling across the floor or whatever. We didn't ever do the elf. I feel like that's a more controversial one. The Santa one is controversial, which I've heard a decent argument for. It's, well, if you convince your kids that Santa's real and then they find out he's not real, will they believe in Jesus still? To which case I would say, I get it. There's also a different approach to the way that you handle Santa and Jesus.
Also, generational. This generation is probably different.
For sure. It's also we
valid.
Go to church every single week for Jesus. We don't just, Anyway, the elf is controversial because people believe it's demonic. Have you heard that?
Yeah.
The elf on the shelf thing?
Yeah. People. It's the concept of a doll coming to life right? Because it's like what's the doll in the movies that comes to life? Annabelle. It's like Annabelle, you know. But how about this one's tougher. What about St. Patrick's Day? Technically a Christian holiday, celebrating St. Patrick. But what do you guys think about that one?
I feel like St. Patrick's Day has kind of become an elementary school thing, and then if you're not in elementary school, it's like you're a 40-year-old man who goes out to like
who goes
pub.
just to drink beer.
And it's like you're one or the other, and in all the other years it's like maybe you put on a green shirt, but like other than that you're not really doing much. I know McKenna, shout out McKenna does
Wells.
like a special meal, right?
Not McKenna Wells. What's her last name now?
McKenna Ayers. She does like a special meal on St. Patrick's Day.
Which I love.
And I feel like that's kind of a rare thing. I don't know many people that do that.
They do corned beef and cabbage, celebrating their Irish heritage, which I'm Scottish and Irish, so I like that, but we never did that. But yeah, I feel like St. Patty's Day has turned into just, you're right, it's a funny take. You're either a kid celebrating with like clovers, or you are a 40-year-old man and you go to the bar and just drink. Yeah.
I always think of Boston when I think of St. Patrick's Day.
Up to Boston.
In the 40-year-old, you know, I feel like Ben Affleck is like getting the beer.
For sure. Ben and
Matt Damon. They're just like celebrating.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Yeah, Goodwill Hunting vibes for sure. Yeah. What about Halloween? If you didn't know this, technically started as a Christian holiday because November 1st, do you know what the day of November 1st is supposed to be called? Do you know? All Hallows Day. Celebrates all the saints of the church. So more of a Catholic thing, I guess. So is, I guess, technically St. Patty's Day. And Valentine's Day. By the way, you're a big Valentine's gal, right? I'm not. I don't care for it. I don't hate it. But I just think you don't need a calendar to tell you when you should tell your significant other that you love them. Whatever. So more Catholic. But Hallows Day is technically a Catholic holiday. And Halloween means Hallows Eve, which is kind of like supposed to be kind of like Christmas Eve. So the day before the holiday, you start celebrating. But now it has turned into Halloween, which of course is not. How you guys feeling about Halloween?
Love Halloween.
Love it.
Just pro holiday through and through. January to December.
So will you say happy holidays then? Just because you're pro holiday?
Oh, no, I say Merry Christmas.
Come on. Merry Christmas. Emphasis on the Christ.
Yes, the one who saved your soul, please.
But you're pro Halloween.
Pro Halloween. I just, feel like people should have a blast, enjoy it with your friends, and your families. Just give it to the Lord. Mm-hmm. I feel like whenever someone comes in with like high energy and they're like, let me tell you why this is the devil's day for any holiday, because there's devil's day people for every holiday. St. Patrick's Day, devil. Halloween, devil. What else?
Sundays. If you disrespect Sundays, it's the devil's day. I feel like you can find a way to make everything.
Yeah.
I see what you're saying.
I'm just like, you guys just got to, like, if you come in here at a convo, I'm like, let's just bring it down.
Let's simmer.
Simmer. Let's just chill, simmer.
Shout out to the people who are able to simmer. I'm a big fan of passionate people, but also you got to control it.
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah.
I will say, though, there is Halloween I get more than any other holiday that you're up in arms about. My mom, we didn't really celebrate Halloween. And you know what? I'm okay with it. We didn't really miss out. I don't know that we'll handle it with our kids the same way my parents did, but we were no Halloween at all. And I get it. There's a lot of evil spirits, scary, and it has definitely turned into stuff. But I feel like with everything, as Christians, you can learn to lead your kids through that and not participate in the healthy thing. So if you're a mom watching this and you choose not to let your kids celebrate Halloween, go for it. I would just say make a prayerful decision. But I'm also not saying that you can't, right? Right? Yeah?
I feel like
not that you're asking for my advice, but...
That's a good thought. I've never actually been trick-or-treating before. But every Halloween has been spent at the church. Yeah. And it's always been super fun.
So you've been trunk-or-treating.
Yeah. It's like, you dress up as long as it's nothing demonic.
Yeah.
I draw the line at the people that are Christian and dress up as a devil. That doesn't make any sense to me. But, I feel like dress up as fun things. I was like Hannah Montana as a kid. Whatever. It's fun. go get candy.
So, but Miley Cyrus, so you dressed up as...
That's where it gets crazy. I'm just kidding.
Addie. Uh-oh.
Sinner, but...
Is this where we cancel Addie? Is now the time?
But Halloween's like fun. I feel like it's the teenage years where the parents start getting like, what are they out doing? And that's a valid question of like, what is my kid doing? But I feel like our church especially has like so many fun things to offer. So just
that is a tough age.
Make it fun.
We didn't do haunted houses growing up, but I did them in college. I get again why my mom was like, no, you're not going, but also like, it was fun when I did it. I don't really have a desire to go do them anymore. But then my dad also was like, he was kind of like, whatever. They love the Lord. I'm not worried about it. So like my dad literally one day, my dad's a doctor. Shout out Bill McKenzie, Billy Willie PH Dilly, as John Allen likes to call him. And in my senior year of high school, I didn't have a car. I had wrecked my car, my truck. I tried to jump it. I was dumb. It broke. And he calls me one day. He's like, hey man, I one of my patients loaned me a car for the week. Like, you get to drive it to see if it's the type of car that we want to buy for you. I was like, no way. Thanks, Dad, so much. I get home. Turns out his patient owned one of these haunted mansions, one of these haunted houses for Halloween. And their biggest marketing campaign is that they owned a hearse. And they had painted it bright green and had all their stuff on it, and that's the car he brought home. So I got to drive a hearse around for a few days. And I think my mom cringed because my mom's like, oh, it's death and evil. My dad's like, it's funny, it's a lime green hearse, So I feel like there's a little bit of mix and match of both, but that was a great time driving a hearse around. But so you mentioned trunk and treat. If you've never done trunk and treat, I didn't do that. We didn't have that in the South. Churches would have like an event on that day, but it wasn't like
Harvest
that.
Festival,
fall festival, right? But Crossroads does a trunk and treat, although I don't know, do we call that it anymore?
I feel like we've gotten away from calling it that. It used to be called TNT. Trunk and treat.
Oh, trunk and treat. Okay. Yeah. Do you remember, did we call it that this year? I don't think
we didn't have Halloween this year.
We just called it an Encanto experience
we didn't have Halloween this year?
It wasn't on Halloween.
You're right. We did something in Encanto, the movie, which I've never seen, which stands for enchanted, right? So...
Devil.
Devil. But trunk and treat is basically trick-or-treating, but instead you have like a bunch of families come and they set up their car and decorate it. And instead of kids going door to door in a neighborhood, they go car to car and get candy and then like games and stuff. It's a pretty cool thing. Yeah.
I honestly feel like it sounds more fun. Like maybe just because I was sheltered, I'm like, it's better. But like it's cool because like every car would like have a theme and it's like fun. It's like a Super Mario theme.
The first one that I ever did when I was here, I got my ministry to do it, and we set up my truck like Christmas, and I had all my leaders dress up Christmas because I'm pro Christmas, See,
that's so much fun.
Yeah.
Like going house to house is cool too.
Yeah.
But it's just like they're all Halloween themed. When you come to the church, it's like so many cool different things.
What do you feel about the families that are like, we're ditching our neighborhood and going to the fancy neighborhood, like the gated communities?
Oh, say yes.
For sure.
Go get the big candy bars.
Yeah.
Go pop off.
All power to you.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, for sure.
There's a lot of people that do that.
Oh, I know. Yeah.
It's crazy.
I wonder if security in those neighborhoods like really amp up that night. Like is there a neighborhood that's like, you need to show me where you live right now or you're not coming in tonight? Like I wonder if, because like, there are some families that are they're not just tossing out the full-size candy bars. They're tossing out like bags, And I wonder if some of the families are like, hey, I'm tired of giving it to these kids that don't live in my neighborhood.
I say you Robin Hood that neighborhood, and you go in there, take from the wealthy.
Come on.
Bring all the big candy bars out, distribute.
Robin Hood it. So So I'm going to take my kids to trick or treat at like 4 p.m. in the nice neighborhoods. And then I'm going to go and we're going to give out that candy at our door at 7 p.m. is what you're saying.
Exactly.
I like the idea. With those type of holidays, so you even brought it up, experiencing those things at the church. There are some interesting experiences at church around stuff like that, right? So like there's always an event like we do youth ministry now. So you kind of have, a little empathy for the people growing up when, like, I remember I was just such a jerk in high school to my youth leaders. And now I see the kids being jerks. I'm like, golly, I hate you, but I love you. And you were me. But so you have a little empathy for the leaders. So we do we do Christmas event and we did a Valentine's dance this year. But go back to your days of a student. Get out of the ministry mind. Go back to when you were a student, which for Addie was like a year ago. Any crazy experiences like as a student with holidays or just like in general of like the church is trying to do something that's like awesome. They're trying to change the narrative. Like no longer is Halloween a devil's day. Now it's our thing. And it just like crashed and burned. Can y'all think of anything that y'all experienced like that?
Oh my gosh, I got to find it.
Which y'all grew up at Crossroads. But that's okay because we're making fun of ourselves.
I feel like a lot of events I went to as a youth person was wacky tacky dances.
They were called wacky tacky dances?
Yes, it was called that. And they're laughing because that was the thing. It was like an annual, maybe even like semi-annual wacky tacky dance where you come dressed up like super random, like you have polka dot shirt and striped pants.
That's
and
cool.
Neon socks and it's super random.
Yeah.
And you just had this like green dance floor that Crossroads owned from the 90s. And it was like so much
fun,
the
green dance floor.
But also like really weird, like the decorations, like looking back, I'm like, that's like a cool event for like the people leading it because it's like kind of easy to put together because you just go grab random stuff.
But you didn't like it as a student?
No, not really.
You're also vibey. We've talked about this. It's true. So that sounds like something weird. As a kid I would have enjoyed because I'm very much like, oh, if it's goofy and silly, like I'm in, you know?
But they were often, like it wasn't like, oh, we're just going to do this once. It was like, I don't know how many we had, but it felt like we had like at least 3 or 4.
Like numbers are down again. Wacky tacky dance. Yeah.
Bring them in.
Bring them in. Dude,
I got to say, the funniest thing I've seen for an event was the dance floor recently.
Oh, man.
That's.
Don't bring this up.
I called my wife.
Golly.
Because I'm like, because sometimes things are like anticlimactic in humor.
Yes.
But this was like, when I walked in and I saw how little that dance floor was, I thought it was one square of like 18 that were coming in.
Golly, it was bad. Context. Yeah. Again, events are a big part of church. You try to lead your students through every single week and having a consistent relationship with God. But then how do you reach the people that aren't coming to church that we got to reach them and keep them, and events are a big way. You got to reach the new people, and then we try to pour into them. So events are big. We did a Valentine's dance this year because high school ministry, HSM, Crossroads Church, Tuesday night, 7 p.m. Be there. Meets on Tuesdays, and Valentine's was on a Tuesday this year. Mm-hmm. And Addie does a really good job of looking ahead of schedule and like, hey, what's coming up? And so you had the idea of let's do a Valentine's dance, right? What was your vision originally? Because you came to me about it.
Yeah, I really wanted it to be like a nostalgic, kind of like 1950s. It didn't end up that way, but that's kind of the idea behind it. Was like, let's just have it be sweet. Like it's nothing raunchy or crazy. Like it's just a sweet Valentine's dance.
And we want it to be for everyone. And I was against it originally, but you sold me on it and got excited about it. And it ended up being actually a really cool night. I was really excited about it. But we want a dance floor. We had done one dance before. We did a Christmas dinner dance before that worked out well. So we wanted to do it again. But we went to a new vendor for the dance floor. Mm-hmm. And they show up and he unloads it. And I'm moving chairs for him to set up. And I'm like creating this big space. And I hear, all right, man, I'm done. And I turn around and it's like, you're done with what? The first 5% of it? What do you mean? Because it was
as big as this table.
It was not much bigger than
this space.
This space right here. Like it was tiny. And I'm like, oh man. I asked him, do you have any more of the sections in the truck that we can just pay for, like whatever it is? And it was like, nope, we don't. And it was tiny. We could have fit maybe 20 people on that dance floor.
Yeah. And it was my fault. I looked back at the receipt and I was like, oh, I actually did. Like this was not their fault. I booked this dance floor so small. And we came and I was like, this is just insane.
But we could have, me too. We could have measured it out. It said the numbers on there right there.
It felt so bad.
But so I think I don't remember. Oh, we went to...
Shout out FCA.
Shout out Centennial FCA, Fellowship of Christian Athletes.
This might be our second time shouting them out.
We've shouted out Cassette
from
FCA. Shout out Coach Tony Burrill from Centennial High School and FCA. We do a gathering there, and we have a bunch of these foam, like squares. It looks like a gym, like you'd put it down in your garage as like a gym mat or something. We use it for them to sit on the grass over there. And I called them and went and grabbed like 100 of them, and we just set it up around the dance floor, and it ended up being okay, but it was pretty rough first.
This also reminds me of just like something anticlimactic of the HSM graduation during COVID.
Oh, with like 10 people.
Six people.
And then we're like, JT, get off the keys.
One of my biggest failures in ministry, I wanted to quit. I wanted to go home to my mama. It's COVID. I'm already discouraged from ministry because it's just really hard and I miss people. Finally, we get approval to do one thing in person. One thing. The night before it, we did this massive virtual homecoming dance. That was actually really successful. We had a few hundred people on there, and for us, it was like really big and really exciting. The next day, we're doing an in-person event. So we poured, because they gave us an option. You have two events coming up, your homecoming and the graduation. You can have one of them in person. And we decided we're going to pour all of our eggs into this basket. We partnered with our college young adults ministry, which is booming. And so even in my mind, I'm like, we really got to step it up because like Sia's here. So like we got to impress and whatever. And so if I go through the Chick-fil-A drive-through, I'm asking the guy like, hey, are you a senior? You should come to our graduation. We want to, because the seniors weren't having in-person graduations. And so we go all out. And legitimately, we had 5 seniors show up. We had enough equipment for, I think we wanted...
The bags were like, first 200 get a free gift.
Yes.
Like,
because we wanted because there's 3 schools right here in Corona over like 3,000 or 4,000 attendance. I'm like, we got to get all the seniors here. So we're expecting 200, 250 seniors.
Yeah.
And 5 showed up.
It was so hard. Because I think the majority of the people that were there were SIA team members.
Yes.
Ready to like receive these seniors and like welcome them in. And there was just SIA team members everywhere.
I remember Pastor Noah, who's now Spanish ministry, did SIA at the time. We kept talking, like pushing it back. I think we pushed the start back like 6 times. We're like, they'll come. They never did. Or we had like an hour plan where we were going to do walkthroughs and graduation, like ceremony. We ended up just, instead of having a big line of people, we just had all 5 of them on stage at one time and like prayed over them. Aww. We called JT Wright out. Shout out JT Wright, who I think at the time he was a junior, but I said, hey, you're a senior tonight. Get on stage.
All our leaders, you're all seniors.
It was bad.
So sad.
Yeah, it was rough, but we've recovered now.
We still have the graduation caps up in the storage, just like waiting for something to use them for. But I feel like every time I've mentioned it, you've been like, and it's like a little PTSD of that. Yeah. It's so sad.
That was a rough time. I remember all of COVID was pretty iffy. Some stuff that we did, but and then sometimes you try new things and it is great.
The homecoming was
because
you were talking about prom. There was prom virtual, but the homecoming that was in person later during COVID was like, weren't you guys supposed to have like 500?
No, the prom
that was in person. The prom was virtual.
The prom was virtual. I remember driving and I gave all of our students like an in-home prom experience kit. The homecoming was good. You're right. I think that was one of the first in-person things we did. Oh my gosh.
But there was like 500 ready.
I remember that night because I remember you were the first person I saw. Do you remember that conversation we had outside of church after homecoming got canceled? I don't even know if you realized how significant of a moment that was for me.
Oh, I remember it. We held hands in like a beautiful way.
So basically, again, COVID is happening and we get a chance to do an in-person event, and it was going to be our first in-person event. And so we planned a homecoming dance because all the schools' homecomings, they weren't doing them. So I was like, hey, we'll throw a homecoming event. This was actually early in COVID, I think.
Like fall 2020.
Yeah.
So it was like pretty fresh still.
And so I did it and we opened up registration, and I'm expecting, again, I think our goal for most events is like 200. That's about where our size of our ministry is. In 3 days, we had 750 signups. And that we're going to be here in person. And I remember being like, this, like it's happened, like this, I'm so excited. We got all this hate from, a bunch of people
Instagram.
Were like, a ton of people were like, thank you so much for doing this. Can't wait. A ton of people were like, just absolutely attacking us.
You murderers.
Yeah. They went to the church authority, then they went to the elders, then they went to the police, then they went to the city, then they went to Riverside
County, whole thing.
When it got to Riverside County is when they shut it down. Riverside County ended up calling, the police chief called us and said we had to shut it down. Jeez. And I remember I was on my way. I think it was the day before we were supposed to do it. or something like that. And I remember I was on my way to church and I get the call and I was so discouraged and bummed out. And I was just walking and I had to host service and you're the first person I saw. And you're just like, how you doing? I was like, man, I'm struggling. And I think I just started crying.
Yeah, I remember it was heartbreaking because you guys planned so hard, almost 1,000 people coming. Then it was like a super spreader event. You're all insane. So we had to cancel it. And I was in my car and I remember like you were like leaning into my window. And it's so sad to see your homie down, especially because you're the man. Everyone knows that. Like, you're incredible. I'm gassing you up, but it's true. I mean, like, you're like the definition of like a godly, sturdy man. You're like an oak tree. And so to see an oak tree like lose some leaves, I'm like, brother. And so I remember like you had your hands and I was like holding them and you were crying and we were like praying together. And I was like, Sawyer, I love you.
And it was definitely like, I don't like crying. I'll do it, whatever. But especially like, usually if I cry, it's like a Jesus moment.
Yeah.
Like that's 90% of the times I cry, it's like that. But in this moment, I was just so defeated. Like I'm literally almost crying right now because I remember how discouraged I was. And I saw you and I just like cried. And it sucked, man. And then I was like, all right, I got to go host. And I literally walked in and like, welcome to church, everybody.
I hate all of you.
I'm like, right now I want to shout out Riverside County.
We hate you.
They're probably creasters. No, it was bad. And then I think I went and saw a movie. I had to be alone. I texted Joe. I was like, I got to be alone. So I went and saw a movie. I don't remember what movie it was, but yeah. Oh, it was Tenet. I went and saw Tenet.
Watch Tenet. Shout out to Tenet.
Shout out Tenet. I think it's appropriate enough to shout out.
Yeah, totally.
I don't think there's anything inappropriate.
PG-13.
Yeah.
It's chill.
Shout out Tenet. But anyway, I think we're nearing the end of time. Y'all got any shout outs?
Addie, shout something out.
Addie, you want to shout out the clown that you've never seen?
So
Look for him this week.
I want to shout out Sanctify team at HSM.
Come on.
That's what I came ready with because this team knocks it out of the water every single week. They come, there's like 6 or 7 of them.
I think knocks it out of the park is the phrase you're looking for, but you're right.
Yes. That's what I meant. And they are incredible because they come, they set up everything, literally everything, the chairs, the snack bar, everything you see on Tuesday nights. They have a hand in it. I'm like, hey, I need something. They're like, I already did it.
Yep.
And they're just incredible, and I just had a shout.
They're amazing. They're amazing. And they got a hard job. Sanctify team, that's basically our security team. We call it Sanctified because we want the atmosphere on Tuesday nights to be sanctified, to be set apart from the world. We want it to be safe. We want it to be fun. We want it to be holy. And we got a lot of just crap and evilness in the world that tries to make its way into Tuesday nights and just all of church. And our Sanctified team is there to make it safe, fun. They do all the setup. They do all the tear down. They do all the stuff. Crazy stuff, and they hardly ever get recognition. Great shout out. Probably I don't know if we can highlight that shout out. Let's re-put it and ding, ding, ding it, because best shout out of the pod so far, for sure. No disrespect to anyone else, but great shout out. Well, thank you guys. Thank you all for tuning in. I don't know what the shout out meter is at, but we're getting up there, and I can't wait for number 100 because we're going to go crazy for it. I don't know what we're going to do yet, but we're going to go there. Have a great day. Have a great week. Love you. The Lord loves you. See you guys next time.